Guys, look, I get it. I totally get it. You opened a martial arts school and man, it's kind of crushing you. There's all this other stuff to do other than teach, right? You love teaching. You love jiu-jitsu. You love Muay Thai. You love karate, whatever it is you're teaching. And man, but there's all this other stuff. There's the front desk. There's taxes. There's curriculum. There's cleaning. There's problems, staffing, covering. Whew, man, it's so much. It's so much. Well, let me tell you, we have started what's called Easton Online. And Easton Online is here to solve all of these problems for you. Easton Online is a digital academy for martial arts school owners and managers. We'll help you establish or enhance your business with best practices. Most importantly, we're going to help you get back to what it is that you love most, teaching and doing martial arts. Okay, so for more information, guys, go to easton.online. Again, that's easton.online. Add your email. You're going to get notified about the course launches. Our first course is going to be all about the first impression specialists, your front desk, and all kinds of stuff, special offers, promotions, as well as we started a podcast by the same name, Easton Online, that's going to talk about our process of how we went from a tiny little martial arts school to what is now 7 martial arts schools, 7 Brazilian Jiu Jitsu Muay Thai schools, in a very holistic way that we believe kept the integrity of the art and also deals with its people very well. So again, easton.online, enter your email and you're going to get everything you need right there. So thanks, guys. Hey guys, don't forget to check out my book by the same name as the podcast, The Gospel of Fire. It is on Amazon. So just go on amazon.com, The Gospel of Fire, or you can just simply search my name as well, Eliot Marshall, and it will pop up. You can buy the Kindle version or the paperback version. I appreciate the support, and it just kind of goes up in about my life a little bit as a memoir-ish to self-help-ish type book, but check it out. Leave a review if you so choose and you find it helpful or unhelpful, either way. So amazon.com and then search The Gospel of Fire. Guys, the podcast is also brought to you by Onnit, ONNIT, Human Optimization Company. Again, code word Eliot is the code word for your order on Onnit. You will receive 10% off. Again, ONNIT, all kinds of stuff for human optimization. They have supplements. They have the Total Human. They have all kinds of stuff. Alpha Brain. I love me some Alpha Brain every once in a while when I know I got to sit down, get some work done. The brain just kicks in a little bit. I've enjoyed using the Shroom Tech Sport. It gives that little extra boost when I'm getting ready to go do a workout. So again, ONNIT, code word Eliot, and you will receive 10% off your order. Guys, this podcast is being brought to you by Evo Labs. Evo Labs is a cannabis company who has some of the best CBD products on the market. I really enjoy all their CBD products. They have an intense salve. That is my favorite product, where deals with muscle soreness. You rub it on your muscles. You rub it on your body after a shower, and it really helps relieve the soreness. The other CBD products, all kinds of different ones that you can intake or use, some for sleeping, some for stress and anxiety. Anyway, evolabs.com. Go check them out, and you type in the code word FIRE and you will receive 10% off your order. evolabs.com. Ever have sore, beat up fingers after jiu-jitsu? We all have, right? Ever wish there was a better way to ice them down than sticking your fingers in a cup of ice water? Well, now there is. Penguin Fingers. Invented by a jiu-jitsu black belt, Penguin Fingers remove the soreness from your fingers or your toes in just minutes, allowing you to train harder and longer with less damage to your digits. Chronic inflammation is like sand in your joints. Training day in and day out with sore, irritated fingers can leave them arthritic and knobby. Penguin Fingers can stop all of that before it ever starts. Penguin Fingers non-toxic, reusable individual finger ice packs come in boxes of 1, 2, or 4 soft gel sleeves. Simply keep them in your freezer and roll them out onto sore fingers or toes as they are needed. Available on Amazon or at penguinfingers.com. Fingers are life tools. Protect them. Use code 10THEFIRE and you will receive 10% off at checkout. Again, 10THEFIRE for 10% off at checkout at penguinfingers.com. Hey guys, this is former UFC fighter Eliot Marshall, and this is the Gospel of Fire, where we're going to go through the fire to learn how to live the best life possible. How you doing? In this episode of the podcast, I have one of my students. I think this is my second student to come on, John Boyle. John Boyle is an OOG member of the Denver Academy, and he picked up and started a new life down in Panama, where he took a huge risk, like, you know, super comfortable, everything pretty chill in Denver. Then, and, you know, probably on the way to maybe being the GM of a school someday, one of the Easton schools, and he just said, nah, man, fuck it. I'm going to go do this thing on my own. I'm going to figure this out. You know, he's had some ups and downs throughout the way. And now he's riding the wave, man. He's riding the wave down in Panama, and super excited to have John Boyle on the podcast. All right, guys, here we are back, another episode of the Gospel of Fire with, I think this might be the first time you might be popping the student cherry, bro. I might get an influx of requests now.
Damn, dude. I'm so sorry.
John Boyle, my first student of mine coming on the podcast. What up, homie?
Right on, man. No, dude, like, if I didn't feel pressure enough, you know, first time ever on any podcast.
This is your first podcast?
Yeah, for sure, bro. Yeah.
Oh, shit. I popped Mike's cherry the other day. Mike had never been on a podcast before. Tu Signa. And
no, man, I listen to a lot, you know, and it's been a huge inspiration to me. And I listen to your podcast a ton, you know, so I really appreciate the opportunity, you know, and I kind of bothered you.
No, it's all good,
to
man.
Get on. And
no, it's good. I like it. I wanted to make sure you really wanted to be on. Like,
man, for sure.
You better have something to fucking talk about, right? Like, you can't ask to be on a podcast and then she'll be like, yeah, what up?
Well, it's the thing. Like, I'm probably for sure the least distinguished guest you've ever had on. You know?
I don't think
probably
so.
But I feel like I do have a story to tell, and you know what your kind of mission, like, I feel like, is to put things out there and, you know, a big broad audience, and see what resonates and see what people can connect with. And that could be literally, you know, anything for any kind of different person. So
you've listened.
I talk about,
go ahead.
Yeah,
sorry.
man.
No, go. So if you talk about, go ahead.
If I talk about anything, you know, the least bit significant that resonates with anybody out there, then, man, that's super, super cool. And I really, truly believe that's how we can, like, change the world around us. You know, I kind of feel like from what you said, you feel the same way. So I want to be on, man. I want to be in. I want to help out. If I can contribute, then, you know, I can.
Fuck yeah. So you said like the most undistinguished, or I don't know what you said about yourself.
Probably.
So I've had a lot of guests on. I've had good guests, right? I've had a lot of good guests, I feel like.
For sure, man.
Do you want to know who the number one downloaded podcast of mine is?
Who's that?
Chris Reese.
No way.
Yep.
Right on.
Do you know Chris Reese? Do you know who he is?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, he's just a random. Oh, I guess Chris Reese is a student. Sorry, never mind. Yeah,
right, cool.
You're not popping my chair. But you know, like, you know, he's the number one downloaded podcast.
Amazing.
You know, so yeah.
Well, that just goes to show. Like, I say it a lot. Like, man, I love jiu-jitsu. Obviously, I've been training for, you know, coming up on my 12-year anniversary. But, like, I say it all the time, man. I'm a 0-time Naga champion. I'm a 0-time Mundial champion, 0-time Pan American champion. But I love this art just as much as anybody else. And, you know, I'm a motherfucker on open mats too. Like, I can hold my own, and you know what I mean? But I do it for the love and the passion, not really the accolades. You know, not saying that those that do hunt those trophies are doing it for accolades or you know, they have their own personal reasons. But just for me personally, like, you know, there was a time in my life where I definitely wanted to be like world champion. I tried, you know, I really put all my effort into that. And dude, I lost my first match both times at blue belt and purple belt, you know?
Right.
But after that, it's like sitting there dejected, like broken. Man, what do? Quit? You don't quit. You can't, you know, you can't leave what's given you so much. So I just keep pushing on, and the art keeps giving back to me like again and again. So I always say I can never repay jiu-jitsu, you know, like the sport has given me so much in my life. I can never, ever give that back enough, you know?
It's impossible, right? Like you'll never, like if that's your goal, you'll never achieve, you'll fail. But that's why you have to reach for it every day. It's a vision.
Exactly.
Right? It's a vision. So that's what I say as a vision. You know, like you are reaching something that is like unattainable. Because if you can attain it, then you're going to stop reaching someday. You know? You'll stop.
For sure.
But something you said a second ago about like never being like you know, you have no gold medals or whatever from any major tournaments. Man, I'm kind of getting obsessed with John Wooden these days, and he has this definition of success. You know, and you know who John Wooden is?
I don't.
Basketball coach at UCLA. So probably the best, maybe the best college coach ever. He's definitely up there. Like he has 12 or 10 I think they won 10 in a row national titles.
Right on.
You know, he was Kareem Abdul-Jabbar's coach. Anyway, super successful coach. Success is peace of mind, which is a direct result of self-satisfaction in knowing you made the effort to become the best of which you are capable.
Yeah, man.
You know,
that's an amazing quote. It's an amazing quote, and
it's what it is, right? Like because like you said, bro. Come on, man. Like, nobody can hit the NOS button like Buchecha can hit the NOS button. You know? Like, he hits that. He's like, go. You're like, God damn, are you fucking serious? Like, in Fast and the Furious, you can only hit that shit once. You can't hit it over and over and over again, you know?
He's got like 6 cans of it just sitting there.
Right? Just fucking sitting there. So, like, that's not hard work, you know? Like that's just,
man.
I mean, I'm not, and take nothing away from the guy. Take nothing away from him because he works incredibly hard. But
for sure,
that's a if you want to say God-given, universe-given ability that just some of us don't have.
For sure, and it's like adjusting your vision to be in line with success, that like what success means to you, you know? So I've never had a class with Buchecha. He might be an amazing teacher, but man, I've taken some seminars from like really high level national champions, and they don't have the style of teaching that maybe I'm used to, or I feel like the level of details. Do you know what I mean? Like we can all excel in our own places. Like you say it a lot, like when you go on and you teach that class, it's going to be the best goddamn class that anybody's ever experienced in their life, like night after night, you know? So some people put a lot of their energy into the competitive side and being world champions. And I've really enjoyed, what I've done over the past 4 years here in Panama, 6 years now, 6 years in Panama, and working with kids and developing myself as a mentor, a teacher, a professor, a friend, a training partner. You know, there's so much that goes into this sport. And like you said, it's endless, you know, it's the goals that we set as martial artists are just not reachable. So we just never stop moving is the idea, you know?
That man, you said it. That's how I love to teach too. That's what I say to all the students when I'm teaching. I'm like, guys, look, moves don't work. Keep moving. Because that's what you have to do. That's what jiu-jitsu is teaching us. Right? It's not teaching
100%.
us how to do a move. It's not teaching us how to armbar somebody or choke somebody or I don't know, pick anything, right? And you don't pass the guard. Like there's no way to pass the guard, right? If you keep moving and stay on top, you're gonna pass the guard. Now you're gonna try a Toriando, a leg drag, a knee slice, all of these things. and you'll get there. But you got to just keep coming up. You got to keep walking in the door. You got to keep showing up. And because it's just a metaphor for your life. You know, it's just a metaphor for your life, because God damn, that's what happens to old people, right? They work a job, they retire, and then what? They fucking die.
Yeah, man.
You know, like they pick a side of the political argument, and they sit there and they watch Fox News or MSNBC.
Dude, I'm so far removed from that, though. You know, like I see that from like from this faraway place. You know, so that's a different perspective for me as far as the Fox News, the CNN. Like I receive way less of that down here, obviously in Panama.
Yeah, you guys, because it's a poor country, right? You don't have fucking time for that shit.
No, dude, poor country, dude. No way, man. It's the, you know, just the income in tax revenue from the canal makes more than most other of the Central American countries' GDPs. Like, yeah, Panama's a really nice place.
What I'm saying is, like, you don't have the structure that like America has, right? You're not one of the major it's not one of the major countries in the world, is what I'm saying.
I think. For sure not one of the major countries in the world, but I guarantee you will be surprised when you fly into Panama City and you see how big the skyline is, like how many skyscrapers. It's I think only, they say, like 1.5 million people in and around the city, but it's like Las Vegas meets Miami Beach. You know, there's Waldorf Astoria, you know, Trump Trump's
got a tower, huh?
Dude, but they ripped his name off the building, bro.
Did they really?
Like within the past year or so. It was called the Trump Towers, and to be honest, there's, you know, I don't know the details. There's a bunch of scandal about it, and I
mean, does he own it still?
What's that?
Does he own it still? Because if he owns it, they can't do that, can they?
They changed the name, bro. They like pictures of in the local papers of some dude with a crowbar, you know, ratcheting off the name Trump off the front of the building. Yeah.
Oh, that's fucking hilarious.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it's actually, they got a really nice pool. We used to go in my first couple years in the city. We'd go and sneak into the this beautiful infinity pool with a very nice bar. Go hang out, have some drinks in the afternoon. It's like right over the Panama Bay. Super nice, man.
It's beautiful, huh?
Yeah, dude.
It's baller.
It's super baller, man. Actually, really, like there's some things in Panama that are, you know, just as you know, as far as food, nightlife, hotels. You know, it's super safe country. You know, I can't speak enough about that. And there was actually I made a post on Instagram like last week about getting down to Panama and doing an Easton thing.
Yeah, you blew it up.
And I forget who mentioned, but somebody was like, the parents don't feel like safe, you know, bringing the kids, or there was some concern about the safety, and I think that's a real shame, man, because my mind was blown the first time I visited Panama by myself in 2012. And I had lived with a family in Costa Rica before then. But anybody that's taken the time to do a little bit off the beaten path traveling realizes that the world is an amazing place. And there's just as many dangers in Panama City as pick a city in the United States. You know, say Detroit. I grew up in New Jersey, so I wouldn't dare go near Camden with a 10-foot pole. You know that. So everything.
So there was two reasons to go to Camden, right? It was the drugs, or three reasons: drugs, to get shot, and then there was the E Center. You remember the E Center where they used to hold concerts sometimes?
Of course.
And then how old are you, Boyle?
I'm 35. Just turned 35.
So like when you were 12, they built the aquarium. Right, you know, so right. then like halfway through our childhood, there became a fourth reason, but two of them, and the two most likely for it to happen to you, were the drugs and the get shot part, and yeah, that was dumb.
Dude,
Camden
Eliot,
was terrible.
I had a friend in high school who literally got kidnapped in Camden. He was kidnapped for a week.
Holy fuck. Yeah, dude. The McDonald's the McDonald's and the Burger Kings and the KFCs have bulletproof glass. Like you can't, right? You can't. You can't hand the money cashier to person. Like you have to put it under like you're at a fucking bank, you know, but even worse than a bank, right? Like it's bulletproof so that the person working at McDonald's doesn't die.
Yeah, bro. The worst parts of Panama City don't have bulletproof glass like that or nearly that. Like, granted, I'm not going to go there either. Sure. But you know what I mean? It's all relative. It's all relative. And here, like, dude, in my little academy, which actually just expanded, and it's like the mat space of my dreams, basically. But on my mats, I have kids from Israel, Belgium, Spain, Panama, of course, Canada, United States. Like, salute. It's a big expat community down here. And once I kind of fell into that crowd, you know, so basically, like, I moved down here in 2013 officially. And
so hold on. All right. So hold on. Let's back up. Let's tell the story. Let's tell the story.
I'll wait. No,
let's tell the story. So you were working in Denver, right? You trained and worked at the Easton Denver school. And I can remember that first day I came down to, like, when I was coming on to Denver, and like me, you and Larry sat down, and you looked like nervous. You were like, what the fuck's about to happen? A little bit, you know?
Well, dude, I'm glad you brought this up, man, because
bring it up.
I remember the first time I ever had a class with you. I remember our first class, you know?
Okay.
And I was still a white belt. I was maybe like 3 stripes. So it was an intermediate class. And you came down, dude, and it was just like this presence, like, dude, you were kind of a bully that day. You know what I mean? Like, right. You came in barking at us, bro. And you were like, all right, one person down, one person up, arm bars. And like, we start doing arm bars, and you were like, stop, this is wrong. Like, get on the wall. And we started doing exercise, bro. You know, we started doing like prisoners of war and burpees.
I was in the mood.
Dude, you were in a mood. But dude, it was an awesome class, and I appreciated it. But like, that was my opening, like, my first impression of Professor Marshall, you know, like, this big dude. I didn't know anybody, you know what I mean? Like, I was very jittery white belt back then. So that was the first time I ever met you. And then, yeah, dude, like, jiu-jitsu meant a lot to me from the very beginning. So when I had the opportunity to kind of, like, again, like, I bug people a lot to get what I want. And I think then they realize that I'm serious, you know? So I bugged Larry when I was like a 3-stripe blue belt. I just bugged him into letting me teach this morning class, you know? So I had the opportunity to start with that morning class, and then it started with the noon class. And growing those things, I felt like I had this really amazing opportunity.
You're a legend in Denver, bro. You're a legend.
Bro. You know, I bring coffee and donuts to the guys. I don't know if they're doing that in morning classes anymore.
They are.
I bring in bagels and coffee.
It's Nick Maverick, you know? So Nick Maverick, who you were his original teacher probably, because that's when he was coming as a white belt. And that's what he remembers. Man. So now he's the one teaching the morning classes, you know? And
I keep track, dude. It's amazing.
Bro, go ahead.
Yeah. It fills my heart, man. It fills my heart seeing that.
I have John Boyle again in the morning, bro. I have John Boyle. I wake up and I don't do it so much anymore. I see pictures on Facebook, you know, and I see 30 people, 25 people at 5:30, 6 a.m. And I'm like, God damn, my boy Boyle is back, you know?
It's amazing, man. And every time I go back, dude, I'll go back to visit. I don't care if I land at 2 in the morning. I wake my ass up and I go to that morning class. If I'm ever in Denver, I won't announce it. I just show up. Like, that morning class is, man, there's some really fun times had there because everybody had to earn it, you know? And there were some days where I come in, dude, and there's one person, 2 people show up, you know what I mean? And then you try making that the best class you've ever taught, and actually them believing it, you know? So like, I've had Professor Ian ask me sometimes, like, hey, you know, is there any pointers you could give to growing the morning class? And that was the number one thing, man, is like, it does not matter how many people show up. You have to be excited to teach that day, really, truly excited, not bullshitting. You know what I mean? Because if somebody rolls in and they even get the least bit sense that you don't want to be there, dude, that sucks. That's not cool for the, dude. Yeah. So if they smell that even a little bit, then it's over, man. You lost the student.
That's the key, man. Right? Like, that's the key. You have to show up and you have to teach every fucking class. And it doesn't matter how many people are in that class. You have to teach every class like it is going to be the most important class in that person's life. Because
100%.
the truth of the matter, it is.
Yeah, man.
It's the class they're doing right now. Is it going to be the class that's going to make them fall in love with jiu-jitsu? Like really fall in love? Or is it going to be the class that they're one step closer to quitting?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, and you have to be a meter for this as an instructor too. Like the attentiveness and how you're seeing your students react to your classes, because every individual is different, so yeah, it's an incredibly fulfilling, difficult thing. And I respect everybody that desires to become an instructor, and puts a lot of their effort there, rather than the competitive side of things. And I think you can kind of do both, but not really, like if you want to be a world champion, you're not trying to be a better professor.
Yeah, it's not possible.
No,
it's too hard. You might be a good teacher. You might be a very good teacher, but you can't be trying to grow that. You can't be trying to grow a culture. It's too much. It's too hard, to do both.
Yeah, I've never seen it successfully. I still go and compete, because it's just fun. I like doing things that scare me.
Right. Me too.
I like getting motivated by fear. If I put a date that I just paid money to go to this tournament and fight this dude at this weight, that's my motivation to really put all the pieces together, more so than just like the day to day. So I do it, but I do it with the understanding that it's all relative. You know what I mean? I'm not.
You're not doing it again the next weekend, and the next weekend, and the next weekend.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's what we're talking about. We're talking about two different things, right? Like, look, I compete too. I fucking love it. I love competing still. And again, even though I don't know, I might have. No, I didn't fulfill it. I just had to prove to myself a little bit when I came back to competing that that I wasn't a bitch, because I knew I didn't figure out the competing thing, even though I had a lot of success during my career. I never really figured it out. And, so I had to prove that to myself a little bit. And, so I'm going to compete again. I don't know when, but it's not like something that I feel like I have to do, and it's not, and like, even when I was competing over the last 3 years here, it wasn't every weekend. I wasn't charging to be the best in the world.
But it does complement you as a professor, because you're now setting an example for those competitors. Like, even though you're not doing it all the time, like the reason I took an MMA fight in Panama when I was a brown belt, well, not because I wanted to fight MMA. Well, I did a little bit, you
didn't want to be the UFC champion. That wasn't the goal.
At all.
Right.
Dude, at all. But I was coaching guys how to fight, and I felt fake a little bit if I don't actually get in there, show them that I'm capable of winning or losing, but show that I'm capable of preparing like a real professional athlete, getting in there, executing, and just being an example for them was really the biggest reason I took the fight in the first place. The fact, dude, they gave me a blue belt from Costa Rica. He's a kickboxer and he's a blue belt, and I'm, I'm a brown belt from Easton Brazilian Jiu Jitsu. There's zero chance I'm going to let some blue belt beat me in a fight. Zero chance. You know what I mean? And that's the confidence I took, deep in my heart, because from day one, I learned how, as a white belt, closing distance, clinching, putting people on the floor, how to manage distance effectively, how to stay on top. You know what I mean? I learned skills that go beyond sport jiu-jitsu. So when they said, hey, this is the guy we have for you, he's a blue belt from Costa Rica, a decent kickboxer, I was like, hell yes,
Right.
Blue belt, bring it on. No chance.
No, yeah. And I think that's important, man. I really do. Your whole attitude is important. Like you I don't know, man. You could have just chilled in Denver. You'd probably be the GM of a school right now. And I'm not saying that anybody that did this is the wrong path, but I just like what and look, when you were here, we didn't have this thing figured out like we have it figured out now. Not that we have it figured out, but we've figured it out a lot, over the past 5 years or so.
For sure, man. And I remember there's a phone a phone call, if you remember, like you and Amal and I had a call, and you guys brought up the idea, like, you know, would you be interested in coming back for a school?
Oh, I remember that.
But
a couple years ago.
maybe not in Colorado or not in Denver. I remember that because, you know, and we'll get to, you know, my story later, but I was in a point down here in Panama where I was really struggling and trying to figure out what my next move was. So that was like, yeah, I agree. You know, we've talked about this before. I think a lot, man. It was a hard move, you know, for me. It was hard to leave. I had a family there with you guys. Like, I really miss everybody back on the mat and my routine there. And I was very, very comfortable in that routine. I was waiting tables at a very nice restaurant. I was making good money. I had my students, but just some part missing, man. You know, it wasn't an easy move. You know, it really wasn't. But
it was a courageous one. It was a courageous one, though. You know, and this is what it is. And and I'm sure, like, when we're talking about your story in there, right? Like when we called you and you happened to be going through hard times, you know, or like it was a struggle of what you were going to do. Like, man, those are the easy times to like check it in, you know, be like, all right,
yeah, I
did this, you know, I did this for a little bit. This was fun. And I think sometimes, like, that's the hard part, like, because sometimes that is the answer. The answer is, okay, this isn't working. You know, let me, you know, like, so like how you made that decision. But I think the lesson is whatever decision you make, you got to fucking ride with it, man. You know, you got to ride with it, and then you got to fucking make it happen. You got to make it happen. You know, like, I think that's what we can do. That's the lesson. The lesson is, let's fucking go. I can make this happen.
Yeah. I mean, that's it. And you know, I also have a new tattoo I got on my arm. Well, it's not new anymore, but new since leaving States.
Okay. And
it says, as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. And it's a Bible quote, but not that I'm a religious person. A guy in the 1900s made an essay, this guy named James Allen, and he used that quote as a description of willpower, you know, the power of your mind and true belief in yourself. You know, if you truly, truly believe that this is what you're meant to be and your vision is crystal clear of not only what's in store for you in the future, but who you are as a person. Like, if you have a clear, honest perception of yourself as to who you are, that's how you're going to act in life. I mean, that's your reality. That's everything around you. So, yeah, man, sticking to your decisions, developing a really clear vision and honest perspective of who you are as a person and how can you improve and what are my strong points, and kind of using all that in the face of those tough decisions. Cause, you know, just because, you know, you're a positive person and you try and maintain like a really positive attitude, which I kind of feel like I've done pretty well, even throughout my time in Denver, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to like move forward, or you're not going to have really hard times. You know, you can't just shit out rainbows all the time. You know what I mean? There's times that they're going to suck, you know, there's times you're going to suck, and it's going to be hard to keep that positive beat and like, okay, let's just keep grinding. Like, there's going to be times where you feel just like, I'm trapped, you know, I don't know what to do, you know, and it's the times like that where, you know, I really think the jiu-jitsu mindset comes in, because I can't tell you how many countless times I've been trapped beneath somebody and just completely, you know, exhausted, panicked, want to give up, want to stop. But you realize it's like the panic, the exhaustion, all that stuff aside, is you can keep going. You know, you can push forward. You can replace guard one more time. You know, you can make one more hip escape. Like, always you can. So just trying to take a little bit of negative emotion out of it and more actions, you know, like I can't remember who said it, but I believe I picked it up from somebody in Easton, is emotions don't win fights, actions win fights. It might have even been you. I've used that a lot. I've used that a lot in my head. Like
it.
Take the emotion out of it.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
And I said, that's not mine. Yeah, that's a good one though. No. I'm going to use it today probably. And the thing is, right, like, and it's what jiu-jitsu kind of does for us. It puts us it puts us like it puts you in the moment, because when you're in a fight, there's no other moment. There's just this moment. Like, you're not thinking, like when you had your MMA fight, bro, were you thinking about your girlfriend?
At all.
No. How about your mom?
No. Nothing.
You're not thinking about a fucking thing other than what? Don't die.
Close distance.
Don't die.
Dominant position.
Right? Yeah. Don't die. And then, don't die. What do I have to? What do I have to do to not die? Okay, exactly. Close distance. Yeah, right. Like, you're in a fucking fight, and this person will kick your head off if that's what's necessary.
And that was the crazy thing, Professor, about, like, you know, I've had this problem, and you've even tried to help me with it in Denver. Is like I tend to be one of the guys that's like a beast in the gym and in the open mats, but I compete very, very differently, you know, and I feel a lot of pressure when I compete, and I do things that I would never, ever do in the gym. It's just kind of like I had like the stage light frights for a while. When I did MMA, I felt zero nerves.
Really?
Dude, zero nerves. You know, and I think it's because I knew how severe the consequences were. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't want to get fucked up, man. I didn't want to get my jaw broken. I didn't want to get cut. I was thinking about those things, but not in like a way that was scaring me. I was thinking about those things and then saying, no room for fear. There's no room for this. You know, I need to be laser sharp. And then I just took that attitude with me all the way through the walk. You know, I walked out to like this Irish drum and flute, like war music, like the music from Gangs in New York. And I just felt like a killer, man. I just felt like a killer, and I felt zero doubt. I knew I was going to win. I knew I was going to do what I had to do. I just, you know, it was this amazing feeling, man. I didn't ever feel that in jiu-jitsu, but for some reason in MMA, I just felt like a cold-blooded, just go in there, do the job. It's going to happen, you know, no doubts.
Dude, that feeling, like, God, if there was ever a reason that I was going to tell someone to fight, because I don't try to tell anyone to fight, but that feeling, like, there is nothing like the feeling of walking to a fight.
Yeah, man.
You know?
Yeah.
There's just like what that feels like the surrealness of it, the moment of it, like, holy fuck, you know? Like, holy fuck. Like you just, like, you know how on this is about to be. And it's why I love the Man in the Arena quote by Roosevelt. You know, I'm looking at it right now. Like, you know, like you are not going to be a timid soul. You know?
No.
Like, for the rest, you know, like, fuck. Because there ain't nothing like it. You can't tell me that there's anything else like that. Like the Super Bowl, yep, fuck you, not like that.
No.
You know? Not like that, man. The Super Bowl, you're throwing a fucking football. You know, and I love the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
I love the Super Bowl, and I love football. You know, but there ain't nothing like that. When you go play in the Super Bowl, you are not thinking about dying.
No, man. Now let me bring this up now here, because I find a lot of similarities to it. And I live on the beach now, and I grew up surfing in New Jersey. So I grew up in Ocean City.
Okay.
You know, so I'm like an island kid, and I surfed all winter long, every summer growing up, and winters as well. So I've reconnected with surfing, man. And there's a few things that you've said already that are exactly like fighting, man. Except you're in a situation when you stand and you're surfing the wall of a wave, you know, and it could be a small wave when you first start, or it could be a big wave that could, you know, it could get some serious consequences to it. You can't think about anything else. It's a complete sense of present moment. And there's no other feeling like it besides what I felt in that fight, that walkout, like taking off on a wave that I know I could get hurt on. You know, it's kind of like in your head, it's like, don't die. You know, I've had that same feeling taking off on waves. Like, I see the bottom, like I can see the water boils when it gets shallow and there's rocks underneath, and you're taking off like an 8-foot vertical face, and this water, you know, tens of thousands of gallons of water is just getting ready to suck up over you and crash and explode in like 2-3 feet of water. You know what I mean? Like, if you fall in that, you're going to get hurt. Like, there's the chances of you getting hurt are really, really high, you know? And I don't like to think of myself as an adrenaline junkie. It sounds crazy after coming after that, but like I chase those feelings like that I get on the mat.
It's not a sense of presence. It's not adrenaline. It's presence. Yeah, you just said it. It's a sense of presence, because you have to be so present, and you have to make adjustments, because I don't know if you've ever surfed a wave perfectly, because I've never done jiu-jitsu perfectly. You have to make, I don't know if you can, because I suck at surfing, but like you have to make all the, like in jiu-jitsu, you have to make all these adjustments, like these little adjustments when you're off. And I'm assuming it's the same thing is very similar to surfing. You tell me if I'm wrong. Like you're up on this wave and you have to balance check here and move your toe here, you know, and like, am I right?
Dude, absolutely. And I mean, just as no roll is the same, no wave is the same. That wave is moving constantly. You're making adjustments. Yeah, 100%.
And you might do the same thing to correct. It might be the same move that you do, but you don't know that going in.
Right.
Right? You might.
No, you don't.
It's like, okay, move the left little toe on my foot, on my left foot, move my little toe, whatever, you know? And you're not even aware that you're doing it sometimes. You're just doing. Right?
For sure.
You're just in the moment. Doing. There's no thinking. It's all feeling, and you're as present can be. And that's what we're looking for. That's what enlightenment is. That's what in my opinion, that's what the Buddha's talking about when he talks about being enlightened. You know?
Yeah.
It's not about being saved. It's not about like living this perfect life or living this, so this is where, for me, this is where organized religions fall for me. It's this idea that I need something else, you know? Like I can't need something else, because if I need something else, it could always let me down, right? It could always not be there for me.
For sure. Yeah.
In my darkest moment, it could always not be there for me. And where enlightenment comes for me, and like the reach for enlightenment, is that it's all within myself. Like there's nothing, there's no God, there's no like there, I don't know, there might be a God, but I'm not relying on it. You know, I'm only relying on Eliot Marshall. Well,
and then, you know, I had this thought when I was a kid, like, I was raised Irish Catholic, but my parents were separated, you know, so my mom is actually a Zen Buddhist, like chaplain, you know, she's reverend.
That's fucking cool. Yeah. Hell yeah.
Yeah. My mom's a Zen Buddhist chaplain now, and my dad is Irish Catholic, you know, so I grew up going to Sunday school and all the rest of it. And I remember, like, I can't remember at what age, but it was super young. I remember having this thought that was like, while we were praying, and I was thinking about who and what am I praying to? And I just realized I'm just talking with myself, you know? So I just had this idea that, you know, God, whatever you want to call it, that greater power is just, it's an internal dialogue. You know, it's you, it's your presence, it's your connection to things. So yeah, I completely agree with that. You know, you don't have to look anywhere else. We all have all this power within ourselves. I think it helps a lot of people to be in a group, you know, kind of connecting with other people in a common setting.
That's the amazingness of organized religions.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
You know, the amazingness is just the community that it creates. You know,
for sure. As long as
I would say, God, even okay. Let's even take the worst ones, I guess. You know,
all right,
and just look at that community of people. They feel very connected to each other, and I think that's good for the human being. And there's something that we want, you know, out of that. So I will even praise them in that sense, like in the sense that there's a community. Now, when it does terrible things, I won't say it's a good community, right? But like that's something that's something to look at in the human experience, is that we want community. We do want to be around each other, and it's like this yin and this yang like of the last thing that I just said, right? Like you know, that like my savior is me, like the only you know, like that's my savior. Now I'm saying that there's this community that we all feel this need and this tie to. So, You know, it's both. It's both. It's two opposite ends of the spectrum.
Yeah, it's internal and external. I couldn't agree more, you know. And I feel the same way. It's like, no matter how, you know, connected to yourself you might be, if you put, you know, me in a box by myself with no communication to the outside world, I'm going to go insane. You know, it's, we need each other.
Yeah, we have that experiment done. It's called solitary confinement. It happens in jail all the time. You know,
couldn't even imagine.
Right? Fucking A.
But look, like, if you ever taken some time by yourself, without the phone, long hikes, even like a 2-day trip or something like that, just solo, it's amazing, man, to kind of just be with yourself for a while. And, I'm lucky enough to do that a lot, you know, while I'm here. And for me, that's surfing. You know, I go paddle out at least a half hour every day. And that's my time just with me. That's like the internal time. I get to think, I get to be, you know, when I'm surfing, I'm just very present on what I'm doing at that moment. But in between the sets of the waves is just alone time, you know. And I have a lot of people, you know, at the hotel that come for surf camps, and they all want to surf, right? And what is surfing? Like, even if you surf at one of the best breaks in the whole world, you're maybe on your feet surfing the wave for 30 seconds to like a minute at most. At a great wave, you're surfing the wave for a minute is like unheard of, you know? So you could surf for 2 hours.
It's like a fight. like a real fight, you know?
For sure. I mean, try paddling out on a big day at a beach break, like in Playa Venal, you know, like there's days where I see walls of water coming in, just like mountains that you have to paddle through. You know, it's 100% like war. Like, you take 2 steps forward, 1 step back, you know, 2 steps forward. But if you're only surfing for 10 minutes out of a 2-hour session, you know, what did you do for the rest of the time that you weren't standing on the board? Was that not surfing? You know, everything, the time in the water, everything is surfing. How you paddle, how you read the waves, how you position yourself. So there's many other things besides the actual physical act of surfing. And a lot of that is just kind of sitting around waiting for the waves to come. So it's a really cool passion that I've rediscovered since being back here. That, man, it's like jiu-jitsu for me again. It's a super fun feeling just to get that stoke and that passion. Not like I ever lost it for jiu-jitsu, but it's cool that I was able to find it in that kind of similar feeling in another area of my life. It's been really, really fun.
Dude, I love the waves. Like, when I go, like, we were just in Newport Beach, down in Balboa Peninsula. And I don't really like Southern California, except I was talking to my friend about this. I think like there's these little pockets in Southern California that are really cool and really amazing. If you have to leave that little pocket, you're fucked, you know. but for me, Balboa Peninsula is one of those pockets. I love it. And like, man, the waves were huge, bro. They were huge, and I'm just out there. They might not be huge for you, but they're big for me, you know?
Right on. Yeah.
Where like, and like, I'm just playing in them with my kids, and it brings me such peace. It's why I love Hawaii so much, you know? Because I don't like if you take me to an ocean where there's no waves, I fucking hate it. Like, I don't want to go look at flat water.
No,
you know,
like a lake even.
Yeah,
lakes
no, I
worst.
hate lakes. My wife loves lakes. She's like, let's take a lake vacation. And I'm like, a lake vacation? What are we going to do on a lake vacation? You know, like,
you sink fast. Yeah, you sink fast in fresh water too.
It's not even that. It's fucking the only lake that I've liked so far in my whole life is Tahoe. I thought Tahoe was cool. We just went there. But just because the lake looked like an ocean almost, and it was like the rocks, and it was cool.
Nice.
But yeah, normally I'm like, fuck you and your lake vacation. You know, what are you doing? Like, you know, like, I want the ocean. I want the ocean, and I want waves, and I want to boogie board, and I want to dive through them, and I want to jump over them. I'm terrible at surfing. I need to come down to Panama so you can teach me how to surf. But,
dude, I want this. I want this.
You want this? I know.
It's going to be amazing, bro. We'll videotape the whole process.
We'll videotape it, right?
Fucking, yes. Get the evidence of you. Dude, I swear to God, you give me a week, I will get you surfing. I can promise you that.
Dude, I can boogie board and fucking body surf like a motherfucker. But for some reason, I can't read the wave right on a surf with the surfboard.
Well, that's it. That takes a lifetime. You know, that's just reps. But
right.
There's things you can do, like, and that's why I would just go sit out with you in the lineup and be like, Eliot, paddle for this one, you know, like paddle as hard as you can and get up when I tell you to get up. You know, that's how you get your reps in. You have somebody with you that can help you get in position. And then, dude, the athletic part you can get, and then it's all just theory. It's physics. You know, how are you going to stay on the wave and continue to gain speed? Dude, we would have a blast if you came down here. You got to bring the family. That would be sick, man.
It'd be fun. Look, I'm a bougie motherfucker when I go on vacation, though. Like, I have to tell you, I'm bougie as fuck on vacation, man. Like, if the only reason that I need money in my life, it's for nothing other than when I go places, because I don't like the struggle at all when I'm on vacation. No fucking way, bro.
Well, you got to give me your level of bouginess. So go on the website for the hotel. I'll chat it to you later. It's beachbreaksurfcamp.com.
Okay.
Might as well say it on the web, on the podcast. You go there later. Tell me if that's not posh enough, and I can hook you up with a sick apartment here, man. You can have your own beautiful apartment. With your own
I'm gonna
kitchen.
sound terrible right now, but this is just how I roll. Like, I don't like hotel rooms. Like, I'll have a hotel room where there's multiple rooms. Like, my kids have a room and I have a room.
Yeah.
And there's like a living area, like a condo unit.
We'd get you the house.
Okay, yeah.
We'd get you the house.
All right.
But listen, not only that, we get you a house. You get your house cleaner. You get somebody in there that can cook like nice Panamanian meals. I don't
need someone to cook. I'll love it. I mean, I'm sure I'd love a cook, but I don't need that. Like, I don't want someone sucking my dick. Yeah. It's just see, like, my bouginess is really weird, man. Like, hold on. Like, I don't need like bougie food. I want like the local food. Like, I don't need that. I like to how do I say this? Because it's not always all the time. I like to feel like a local, but in a really nice house where I'm comfortable.
Yeah, okay.
Like, you know, like where if I want to just sit on the couch and take a nap, then I can do that. I don't have to lay in a bed. Like, you know, like things like that.
Professor,
you got me?
I got you covered.
You got me? All right, Boyle, we might be talking. And like, literally, I make all of my money for vacations. That's all I do, is because when I'm going on vacation, bro, I'm like, nope, don't care how much it costs. Let's go.
Well, that's cool, man. And you know, maybe this would be a good time to like I can go into a little bit of my story in Panama.
Yeah, do it. Let's go.
This is the part that I really wanted to share, you know, and so grew up in New Jersey, moved to Colorado, jiu-jitsu in 2007, totally changed my life. I started teaching through somewhere in that process. I got a girlfriend, got really serious. We lived together, had a dog together. That fell apart. And that was a big reason, a motivator for me to try and find change. Like, that kind of was a really, really hard thing for me. I felt terrible about myself. It was just a really tough situation. And around that same time, I met this dude named Steven, who was an expat living in Panama and wanted a private lesson in jiu-jitsu, right? And I didn't even know what an expat was.
What is an expat?
Idea. I still don't really know. I don't know. It's a white person living in a foreign country. You know, otherwise they call them immigrants or migrant workers. It's the same thing. You know what I mean? It's why don't we call the Mexican people that are here legally, why would we call them immigrants and not expats? But if I went from the US to Mexico, you would call me an expat. You know what I mean?
Okay.
It's kind of a loaded term that way, but yeah, I don't know, Google it. But he's an expat in Panama, which means he's been living outside of the United States, basically, you know, technically. So you spend less than 30 days a year in the continental United States or any part of the United States. So anyway, Steven, expat, invites me down to his gym in Panama City. So I needed the break. I went and visited him with a couple of students, actually. We went down there, had an amazing time. Got to surf again for the first time in like a decade. But more than anything, I saw this guy, Steven. He's like this serial entrepreneur, super motivated guy, super inspiring guy. He's got a wife. He's from North Carolina. His wife's from New York. They're just this really amazing family. That she was pregnant at the time with their first child. And I was just like, look at this beautiful family that they built in Panama. And the thought kind of entered my head that's like, I could live anywhere I want to. You know what I mean? There's I don't know if it's a stigma, but it's something that like when you're born and raised in the US, you think it's like, I'm so lucky to be here, and why would I ever leave? This is the place that people immigrate to. You know, there's no reason for me to go and search for anything else, you know? And I am lucky. Dude, I love the United States. I'm super proud of where I'm from. Super, super blessed and lucky to grow up where I grew up.
Boyle, if you don't like it, get the fuck out. Isn't that what we're supposed to say? If you don't like it, get the fuck out.
But dude, I do love it, you know, and do love it. But now I just love to vacation there. So, but anyways, this thought came in my head, and I said, you know what? I'm going to try for a life in Panama. I'm going to give it a year. So I sold all my crap in the US, sold my car, TV, anything I had. I invested in this guy, Steven's gym, and moved down here January of 2013. I moved to Panama City, started working in this gym. At that time, it was called Top Level Gym, and it was in a part of Panama City called Casco Viejo, which is really gentrified, you know, which means there's a huge capital investment in certain hotels, buildings, restaurants. And at the same time, there's an incredibly impoverished community as well. Very, very, like, I'm talking like squatter homes. You know what I mean? Like, people just live in squatter homes that are right next to multi-million-dollar hotels, you know, like not any kind of exaggeration. So seeing that community, operating the gym, we had like 5 clients that were paying, you know. It was really, really mismanaged. The whole business part of it was a mess. But from what I could see, there was like 5 paying clients, all of whom were not Panamanian. And then every night around 4 or 5 o'clock, Steven would just basically run like a fucking fight club, bro. Like, all these kids from the ghetto they heard that there's some white dude doing fight club, basically. So they would come into this little back room that we had in the gym, and they would just beat the crap out of each other, for like full MMA. You know, they would do grappling sometimes, they would do striking sometimes, they would do MMA sometimes, but it was just chaos. But it was awesome. You know, like, these guys obviously had a lot of talent and passion. Like, there was a group of Olympic wrestlers that had been doing it since they were kids. They were doing Greco-Roman and freestyle. So their grappling level, you know, some of the best in the country was decently high. They're not like D2 in the US nearly, you know, but you saw Humberto when he came to Denver. They have grit, they have heart. They're tough guys.
Tough as
so
nails.
I looked at Steven and I said, dude, this is what we have to focus on, you know. And we agreed that, like, fuck this, trying to make this place a for-profit gym. It's not the time. It's not what it needs. It's like, let's make it a donation-based, sliding scale kind of gym where we do not deny access to anybody that can't afford it. If you're from these certain communities, you know, you can't be like, you know, an extremely wealthy upper class person and then come in and use the gym for free. You know, you do have to donate to use the gym, but if you can't donate, we're not going to say no, you know? And we started training these fighters. It just became the most intense, fulfilling, wonderful thing that I could ever devote my time to. And I really, really, really could feel every day, like you talk about wanting to impact your students, you know, and wanting that class to be a life-changing class. Like, I was feeling that every day with these guys, because the situations that they live in are just awful, man, you know, and they'd be in the gym 4 or 5 hours a night, just sweating and training and giving their all, and just feeling that presence and that freedom that martial arts give us, and being able to give these guys jiu-jitsu, that give them martial arts in their life. Like, I know, like, I've left for 2 years now, which I'll get to, but I know that for generations, there's going to be martial arts in this community because of what Steven and I did. Like, they're still teaching classes. They're still doing arm bars. they're still coming together and training, you know, and that was the fulfillment that I got from teaching. And as the foundation moved forward, we got lucky enough to meet a guy named Jamie Pollock, who's with the UFC. He was like the head of Latin American talent development. We just happened to get a meeting with him, showed him Humberto, who ended up getting on the first season of The Ultimate Fighter Latino America. So that was Humberto's into the UFC. From there, he got invited back to fight in UFC Mexico City. I forget what number. It's where Fabricio Verdun knocked out Mark Hunt. Mark Hunt with a flying knee.
Yeah.
Remember that?
Yep.
Yeah, brutal. So, you know, Humberto became the first Panamanian to fight in the UFC. This guy is from a place called Barrio Chino, which is really tough neighborhood.
Is he famous in Panama now?
Dude, sadly, no, man. Sadly, no. You know, boxing is the sport here for combat, you know. Right. Anything where it's like two guys touching, there's like a lot of machismo, you know. It's like, why don't you just stand in front of each other and hit each other? It's like, but it's growing, man. It's growing, you know. It's really like unbelievably fast how quick jiu-jitsu is taking off. And, you know, me being here in Panama, you know, I'm an immigrant now. Since I've been here after that first year, deciding to stay, I've got my permanent residency. And like, you know, you've maybe heard like Joey Diaz say that immigrant mentality. Like my hustle switch turned on, like full blast. Like I started working hard to make ends meet, being creative just every day, waking up and grinding. Like I'm fluent in Spanish now. You know, after the first 3 years, I just had to, you know, what do I do? What do I need to do to succeed? I have to learn Spanish. So devote myself to that. Like having a girlfriend and now wife that speaks primarily Spanish to me also helps. But yeah, so doing that foundation for 4 years from 2013 until 2017. And towards the tail end, this is right around when we had our conversation. And what kind of brought me to it is you were talking about posh, you know, having posh vacations. Like, dude, I was broke, you know, like my heart was full, like full overflowing, but my bank account was like negative, you know, and that's not okay. You know, you can't put all your chips in this like starving artist basket. When I realized this, and it was something that it didn't come to me right away, but it's like I have an unhealthy relationship with money, you know, growing up kind of lower middle class. I kind of got some things put in my head that like, you know, if you have money, you're an asshole. Like you're a sellout. You're a mean person. You screwed somebody over. You know what I mean? I had all these negative associations with people that had done well for themselves. So that made me almost like, for some weird reason, like not want abundance of money, or, you know, I wouldn't actively seek it out. So I developed a vision, man. And I meditated like 3 times a day. It was from this book I read called The Answer. It's kind of like a spin-off of The Secret. It looks like really cheesy on the cover, but this book changed my life. And it has this program that helps you develop a vision. You start meditating 3 times a day, 5 minutes breath work, 5 minutes of positive visualization, you know, that vision that's for you, like what person are you, where are you going? And then 5 minutes of positive affirmations, you know, affirmations about you know, I'm a successful and savvy business person. I'm a decisive leader, whatever you want to, you know, kind of convince yourself that you are. And I just drilled my subconscious with this, man. And I really hammered it home. And I did a month-long meditation process of this and just kind of let it be. And 3 months later, during this hard time that I was having, being broke, not really feeling, I wasn't getting any more gratitude from the students. Like that well had kind of dried up.
Right.
You talk about like, you're the only one that can fix your problems. Like really at the end of the day. And what I was finding, like, I'm not a social worker. You know, these guys have problems. They, you know, we were doing classes for kids from 6 years old to like 36 years old. And the problems that they've seen, you know, the violence, the victim mentality, like all these things are really piled up on top of each other. It was too much for me, man. I didn't feel qualified, to be honest. And not like I felt like I was doing anything wrong, but I didn't want them to think that like, oh, I'm going to be a career martial artist and be a champion and fight in the UFC like Humberto. You know, I was very clear that like, you guys more than likely won't be in the UFC. You more than likely won't, you know, get paid to fight. And even if you do, how long is that going to last? You know, and once I was really clearly communicating that to them, they started dropping off like the motivation, and I started getting empty classes, and I'm just sitting there like, what am I doing? Like, what am I doing with myself? So with this new vision, fuck man, I don't know. Somehow this guy set up a meeting with me. He had heard my name, a friend of a friend. And the first words out of his mouth in this meeting is, I want you to live at the beach, start a jiu-jitsu academy, and help me with a real estate project that's going to sell $10 million in the next year, you know? And like, that was it, man. We investigated, we did some due diligence. You know, the real estate thing didn't quite pan out like the 10 million, but I'm still working on it. It's kind of like a new passion, new side project for me. We have this gym in this life now in Playa Venal. And again, it was like a really, really hard decision to leave those guys in the project, which by the way, it's called Alley Cat Fitness Foundation. It still exists. We're looking for a new space right now for the guys because the space we were using got demolished. But yeah, so now here I am, Playa Venal. I'm doing better than I ever had, you know, in the States or in Panama, you know, financially. I'm still feeling, you know, very fulfilled and happy. And it's just, it was a long process for me to get here. And I apologize if I rambled a bit through that story.
No, it's good, man.
But this is basically where I've come to. And now I'm sitting here in my gym.
Jiu-jitsu for life,
talking
Boyle.
with my professor.
That's right. Jiu-jitsu in life, man. You know, that's what you're doing. That's what it's about.
Yeah.
Keep
I'm trying,
moving,
man. And I look to you. I look to you guys as examples, you know, like,
shit, man.
It's really, I know you say shit, man, and I have people say the same thing to me, and I respond the same way. It's like, and that makes me feel good. That makes me feel like I'm doing it right, you know, because at the end of the day, I don't know, like I kind of think of it like this, like just because you have a black belt in jiu-jitsu doesn't automatically make you an awesome person or humble or easy to get along with, but more than likely you have a pretty healthy ego, right?
Yes.
If you have multi millions of dollars, it's not guaranteed that you're kind of a douchebag, but like, dude, if you like hoard wealth, and you've done some shady things in your life. You know what I mean? Whether that means like pay somebody less or dick somebody over. I don't know. It's not a guarantee, of course, but I kind of compare it.
If we're just going to look at numbers, right, is what you're saying. Yeah, I'll agree with you.
You know what I mean? Like there's asshole black belts out there, and there's probably really amazing uber wealthy people out there.
Yeah, sure. You have Buffett and Bill Gates, like the two uberest wealthy Americans. They're amazing. They're amazing people.
There you go, you know, but there's probably also a ton of super dirty, sketchy,
for sure,
rich dudes that don't care about who they hurt and get money. So finding a balance really is what I'm trying to do. Is like, man, I want those posh vacations myself. I'm working hard to, you know, next time I come through Denver, I'll be staying in, you know, nice hotel room, maybe. I don't know.
Fuck yeah.
Ubering around, taking some private lessons with Professor, because I'll have it.
You don't have to pay me. I don't teach for money, man.
I understand that.
So for me, like, you know, like that's one of the things that helped me get to where I guess I get to take uber nice vacations is I don't do anything for money. Nothing. Like if I'm going to go teach a seminar somewhere, I'm probably not keeping that money. Like we'll charge if that's how it's got to be, and I think it does have to be, but I can't not charge, because then everyone else looks like an asshole, you know, for charging. Yeah. But I'm gonna give that money away. I'll cover my expenses, and then I'll give that money away, because I'm not gonna travel the country, right? I'm not gonna Gordon Ryan that shit where I'm gonna go somewhere every weekend and teach a seminar, make $5,000. Like, okay, that's a significant income, right? Like $5,000 a weekend. So for me, I'm not going to do that. I don't want to do that. So, you know, a one-off seminar really doesn't do much for me, because we have this other system set up with the schools. So I would much rather give that money to somebody.
Because you've worked hard to get to that position. Like, you have security. Like, you know that your family's taken care of. Like if your family wasn't taken care of, you wouldn't be giving that money away.
Well, fuck no.
You know what I mean?
I'd have to Gordon Ryan that shit. If I had to, I'd be traveling the country every weekend, teaching a seminar for, I don't know, $1,000, right?
Yeah.
And
whatever,
you know,
you would do whatever
I'd do whatever it takes.
You would do.
Yeah, of course.
Man.
Of course. Look, sure, I worked hard enough. I got lucky enough to work really, really hard to make a good living, you know? So that now I have one single job, and I try to say it on every podcast. My one single job, obviously I have these 2 boys and stuff, you know? So
yeah.
And they're included in this, is I got to sprinkle the luck dust on as many people as possible. That's the job,
Yo, bro.
You know, that's the job. Let's go sprinkle the luck dust on as many people as I can find.
Yeah. Yeah. And you're doing it, you know, and the whole idea of putting a vibe out there, like putting a thought or communicating a story or creating this medium that you have for people to find things that resonate with them is really, really powerful. Like that idea. And it's a beautiful way it's described in that book, The Answer. Like, if a singer sings a certain tone, it breaks a crystal glass, right? That tone resonated with the glass in such a way that it destroyed it. It broke it. It changed the whole molecular structure, right? It vibrated the atoms to the point of changing what it is. So when we say something resonates with a person, like, what are you really saying? Like, you struck a chord within that person that can change their whole life. You know, that's the most important thing. Like that luck dust that you're talking about. It's the most important thing that we could do as human beings is inspire other human beings to hopefully inspire others. And that ripple effect that's going to go out there is a really powerful thing, and makes me believe that we can change the world, you know? So
one person
super inspired
at a time
by you and what you're doing.
One person at a time, Boyle. You know?
Yeah, bro.
We just got to touch one life at a time, and when we touch one life, then hopefully that you just change the world. Like the whole universe is different because that one person's life changed.
And it's an amazing thing. It's an amazing and beautiful thing, and it's as real as it gets.
Fuck yeah, man. Thanks for hitting me up, bro. I appreciate you fucking sticking in my ear about this. This was a great hour.
No worries, man. I really appreciate the time. And again, just like, let me know when the family's coming down for this posh surf vacation.
Fuck yeah. Man, I hope whoever listens doesn't join in on that part. Right? Man, I'd like to take posh fucking vacation. Who the fuck is this asshole?
And listen, if you get down here before Professor Easton, you know, I'm going to have to call that out because I've been telling that guy to come down for, you know, Professor. Man, Easton, if you're listening, don't let Eliot get down here before you.
Oh, he's getting us them all. You see what he did? He's probably saying the same thing to you. All right, boy. I appreciate it, man.
I appreciate it, Professor. Take care, bro.
Have a great day.
You too.
Bye.
Ciao.
All right, guys, thanks for listening to this episode of The Gospel of Fire. Don't forget to check me out on all of my social media at FireMarshal205. Again, at FireMarshal205. Go to my YouTube channel. Fire Marshal 01, that is, for YouTube, where you can follow. I'm making these videos 100K strong. That's the goal for the year. I want 100,000 strong listeners to the Gospel of Fire. So I'm trying to make a video a week so that you guys can follow along on my journey of how I go about my day, some things that I talk about, some things that I try to work on for myself. And then finally, don't forget my website, EliotMarshall.com, where you can get up to date with everything that has to do with me personally, the Gospel of Fire. You're going to find all about my book release, also called The Gospel of Fire, February 12th. It will be for sale on Amazon that whole week for 99 cents. So all that information at EliotMarshall.com. Thanks again for listening. Thanks to my sponsors, Evo Labs and On It. So that's it, guys. Hope you enjoyed the episode.